Hi, my name is Amanda Ybanez. I'm from Kalihi, Palama, and I'm running for District House number 30, again, Kalihi, Palama. Lifetime resident, born, raised, and live. And to my right, I have Ken Farm, and he's from Kalihi as well. I'll be asking some questions. And so, first of all, how are you doing, Ken?
I'm doing fine.
Very
Thank you for. I only lived in Kalihi for maybe close to a decade or so. But you're from there.
I'm from Kalihi, and I don't want to age myself too well, but man, it's been like 40 plus years. 40 plus years, I've seen a lot. I grew up in Kalihi. I come from public housing myself. Born, raised, live. I've been through it all. I've seen the challenges that people go through, and I'm part of it. I'm living it, and that's why I'm doing these interviews with people from the community to talk about the issues that are important to them. As every single month, we'll be talking about the issues and concerns that people have and possible solutions and what they want for their future. So that's going back to Ken. Let's talk about a subject matter that touches all of our lives every day, the crime in the community. What are your thoughts?
Well, the crime has, unfortunately, we've seen it escalate from the years since I've been over there. You've seen a lot more from people who have encampments, and from those encampments, in some cases, I've seen propane tanks that were part of it, just right on the street. One area that got cleaned up, but there's still some issues, was Kanoa Lane. So for a little while there, that whole area was just, there was an encampment all the way across back to the church.
Kanoa Lane, can you, because Kalihi is a pretty big area.
Yeah.
For those that are watching at home, Kalihi is a very large area, so I'm going to explain it a little bit here in this very moment. Kalihi actually encapsulates from Hickam, which is military housing and Air Force Base, right? The airport, all the way to Chinatown downtown. And Kalihi also encompasses Kalihi Valley, all the way into the valley. So that is all considered Kalihi. Kalihi Valley is the upper part Kalihi. And then you have the lower part of Kalihi. And that is inclusive from School Street, Makai of School Street, all the way and including of Sand Island. So it's rather large. So when you say Kanoa, where in that area is for Kalihi?
So it's right next to where Mayor Wrights is in Pool Lane.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of things going on over
there's
there.
a lot of things
How
that
do you
happen over
unpack
there.
that? Okay. So what do you see happening in that area, Mayor Wrights? I'll share what I
sure.
see, okay, and what I know, because I come from public housing myself, and there has been an escalation in crime. And some of it can even be watched on Instagram, because everybody's got a smartphone. Everybody's got one of these, and man, that's helpful sometimes. But I've been able to see some fights that are not small. And I'm looking at maybe more than 20 people, sometimes that it occurs. And I want to share your view on that, because you live like in and around that area,
Yeah, I do.
not too far from that. So what do you hear, what do you see, what do you know?
So, like Pool Lane, Kanoa, in that area,
Yeah.
usually it's at night.
Okay.
And sometimes it could be people, targets of opportunity. Is it where you just have to be, cognizant of what's going on around you.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
it can be dangerous. And I've seen
bet.
progression in some cases. Kanoa Lane, again, was cleaned up, but there's still some vagrancy and other things that are going on there. And also, we've seen, some violent crime.
When you say clean up, is that like the homeless encampment cleanup? Is that what you're talking about?
So there was an encampment that was back there, and
Okay.
it took a bill from the council in order for Kanoa to be from what's called an unimproved road to an improved road. And then from there, they were able to then have the ability to clean that area up.
Okay.
And in fact, you had fires that were going back there.
So things were being caught on fire.
Things
somebody
were
was
being
setting
caught. I have
fire?
pictures of things being caught on fire.
Wow.
So
Okay.
Are those, if it's okay to
Sure.
ask, are those
yeah.
just recent occurrences, or has it been, I guess within 5
So-
to 10 years, yeah, has it been getting,
it's before, so only a couple of years, so it was just before COVID.
okay.
So we had some of those problems. But from that, there's other problems that have arisen. Not necessarily COVID, but we've had more homeless, but not just homeless, that those with mental health problems. So, for example, we have individuals that would just walk in the street, crossing just in the middle of traffic, right? And that in itself could cause an accident. You have cars that are, just driving along. And then you have others where, you have individuals that have knives or whatnot just outside. They may not be pulling on people, but just you're on the street, you're as a pedestrian or just other things, and you're seeing that. You can't take that for granted of what that person's going to do.
Okay. For those that are watching at home, my bad, and I'm sorry. This is Lealoha Tumbaga, and she's from Kalihi Valley. So we have a good mixture of people that are from the community that are talking about the issues that are concerning with them. So again, Le. So thank you so much, Le.
Of course.
I want to know for both of you, right? All of these issues, crime is on the rise, things are happening, people are responding in ways that they didn't do this before. I can easily say that, yeah? What do you think is the driving force that's pushing people or causing them to feel like they have to respond in such a way? What are the issues? Is it affordability? Is it the crisis of finances that inflation has hit us over the many decades, that people feel like they have no alternative or they're acting out their rage and their anger in ways and not being constructive? What do you think is a driving force behind the crime?
So I'm going to wear a former chair hat here. When I was the chair for Kalihi Palama, one of the things I came up with was a diagram, and one of the things where you had 4 types of people who were homeless, right? The first type of individual that were homeless were those who were by matter of circumstance, like you're talking about, increase cost of living, lost their job, but they could still have a conversation like this. Still, if they needed to, counseling, other things like that. They're the ones that, if there was housing, we would try to. It would be the best to give. You had others who were cognitively deteriorating, and that's the ones that we see on the street a lot. And those individuals, in most cases, they're not aware of their own surroundings. I'm not saying everybody who's like that, but there's, as you are on the street, you'll deteriorate cognitively. And then you have a criminal element. And that criminal element will use the cognitively deteriorating individuals. And what they will do is they will take those individuals and have them do the bidding that they want to do. So if you talk about the crime and the things such as theft, breaking and entering, and then you have those who are very small population, the fourth, and those are the individuals that are just, they want to live on the fringes of society. And in many cases, you can have a conversation with those individuals. They just don't want to live and conform to, the norms of society.
Okay.
So that's how I break it down.
So would you consider them to be the service-resistant population?
So I would consider them to be part of the but the thing is, are they the ones who are causing the crime? Are they the ones who, most of the ones that I'm starting to see is the individuals who are cognitively deteriorating, right? Because those are the ones where, when we talk about the people who are walking around in the middle of the street or wearing no clothes or other things of that nature, a lot of times they're off their medicine or so. So that's where the line is between liberty and how do we make sure that we keep the community safe. And then you have the criminal element that's part of it. So you have all these different things, not necessarily working together, but when people will say homelessness, they'll say, oh, okay, it's just the homeless versus these different groups.
I'm going to share some history here because I came from public housing, Palama. Old Palama, which is right across the street from Lanakila Field, if anybody knows where that's at in Kalihi, just to give you some kind of timestamp on that. And let's go back in time, 1980s, early 1980s, late 70s. I can remember growing up there, 2 homeless individuals. Again, one was a Vietnam vet. We need to take care of our veterans because they sacrifice a lot, and sometimes they got to go into the field and they're never the same when they're released of their services, so we need to take care of our veterans, no matter what branch of military they're from. We need to take care of them for a lifetime. And that's inclusive of also all first responders, which, by the way, everyone at home, I'm a first responder. So I've been taking care of my community for over decades. But going back to the point, the other woman that was homeless that we knew of, my family knew of and I knew of, she chose not to take her psychiatric meds. So of course she was service resistant, she had mental health issues, and it spiraled the longer that she was not on medication and wasn't in any services. 2. Not 2 dozen, 2. Now, people at home, people that are watching with this conversation, That's 40 years ago. Now we have thousands upon thousands of people that you said you feel fall into which and every category. What is going on, people of Hawaii? Why are there thousands of people, including children, that are homeless now? What is going on? What are the possible solutions?
Well,
how can we address this?
I
Do
just
you have
wanna-
any ideas, Ken?
I just want to add, one of the things that's important is if the individual who are the ones who are mad of circumstance, if they're on the street long enough, they will become part of that cognitive deteriorating population. So that's one important part, is how do we prevent those individuals who are mad of circumstance not be getting to the point where they're cognitively deteriorating on the street.
If it helps, because it sounds like a little bit of my area of expertise because of what I do
Oh, yes, what do you do?
for work. Because I work for Aloha United Way 211.
Wonderful.
So I basically
Thank
do talk to people who call 211 for resources. So the first category of people who, you know, just got homeless or were evicted, right? Those are working class people. They don't have to go straight into shelters. They can go into transitional shelters, because there are, for example, is it okay if I name organizations?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, because
What are the service providers that Aloha United works with
well, these are just what resources are in our database.
in our
so,
community? Okay.
Yeah, well, or just on the island entirely, because
Okay.
IHS covers not just like Kalihi, but almost like the entire east side. The west side is KWO, Kealoha West Oahu. I think the north used to be North Shore, but I think now it's KWO. But those are the agencies that run outreach programs to cover
To support the homeless
to support the
population.
homeless population.
Okay.
But of course, it depends on if they want that
What kind of
outreach or
needs?
not.
Okay.
Not in the needs too, right?
Mhm.
Individuals who are, you know, on substance use, there are SUD. They actually could call that 988. It is called the suicide line, but they can also do triage for mental health. And I believe they are contracted to do the substance use disorder. 211 used to have that at a time, but I think they now have that contract, so they're now doing the triage over the phone. They're open 24/7. So 988 is a great crisis line resource if you need immediate triage for people with mental health. So that kind of covers both, I think, right? And then of course, am I already forgetting like the last? Is it the person that just doesn't want to be housed, right?
So you
Or-
have,
Service
yeah, you have the
Service
criminal element
resistance.
and then the service resistant.
I mean, I guess the best way we can support them is what they want, right? Sometimes it's just looking for food, so we give them food pantry resources, food, what is it called? Hot meals. If it helps, I've seen a lot of, on Saturdays, not as many food distributions as I'd like there to be on the island. So I just put that out for.
So what you're saying, Lei, in short, is, I'm going to sum it up if I
Yes,
can.
yes.
Sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
For the large population of, we're saying thousands of people that are homeless, or people who are in danger of becoming homeless, and everybody is one paycheck away from becoming homeless in Hawaii. One paycheck away, people of Hawaii, one paycheck away. So it can happen to anybody with loss of job, medical condition, your company closes down, or you got laid off, or you get a divorce. There's so many different scenarios that run into play. And, also with being said that there's some people that are even shipped here or fly here, one-way trip. So that is occurring as well. I don't want to ignore that fact, that it is a fact that does occur. How large? We don't know. Is there a database? That would be interesting to find out, as these episodes will slowly but surely peel away the very layers of this, because with 2 people versus 1,000, of course, obviously, there's something that's going on with the fabric of society that needs to be addressed. We can keep on throwing more resources and more sources, but if the fire is on fire, do we need to throw more kerosene and gasoline on it, or are we going to figure out the source of it? Just like an infection. If you have an infection, you can put a Band-Aid on it, but if you don't address it with antibiotics and good medical help and have medical licensed people and professionals to take a look at it, it could fester and turn into something worse. I don't think this is a small problem. I believe it's a crisis. We are all living in a crisis and in an unaffordable bubble. We are dependent on outside resources for everything that we live for and need to have. Food, water, shelter. Food is unaffordable. It is extremely expensive. And we went from moving away from farmland and sugar canes and pineapples and being self-sustainable to somewhere along the line of these decades, we switched it over to housing was important and more homes. But these homes and houses and apartments are so unaffordable that people trying to start a family, you know, people in their 20s and their 30s, I think you guys encapsulate that, and a little bit of me as well. I always want to interject myself. I'm not that old, you know, but I'm old enough to know that there is history here. And there's people that can't afford that, and they move off the island. They either move off of the island to look for better opportunities with an education that they got because they got to pay back their student loans and other aspects of being unaffordable, to they can't afford their rent. So they move off of or out of their homes and onto the beaches or onto the streets. And I'm going to share some things that I have seen, Ken and Lee. In Kalihi, in Ybanez, there was a Long's Drugs, and I shopped there quite a bit. It closed down. Why? Because when I was shopping in there, which was really convenient for me, I saw people literally running out and stealing the shopping carts and all items inside of it, while I'm standing in line with everybody else, and we're looking at each other like, I'm feeling the pinch. Look at how little I'm gonna buy, and that's already just the basic needs. That's already maybe $200, and these people are rushing out, stealing food, stealing things that they need. Nobody's mad at them, but we're all like, that's where our society is. Long's Drugs, Ybanez is now closed. So how much more can this go on until we actually start looking for solutions? So thank you, Ken, for all this information. You've been helpful, and also with Lei sharing your mana'o, your wisdom, and us working together in the community as we witness. We are all witnessing things that are happening to each other and our surroundings around us, and we're on an island of our own. If there's any disaster that's happening, again, we're in an emergency for housing and affordability that is affecting everybody's lives here, and we are it. We have to be able to help each other and be open-minded and flexible and try to look for solutions together and be open to what those solutions look like. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So that's a wrap for that.